Welcome to Viking Video Chats. I'm Athletic Director Josh Morton, pleased to be joined by our fourth-year volleyball coach, head coach Jen Jacobs. Jen, welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Yeah, here we are both in our homes as we continue getting what we hope is closer to a reality that has our students back on campus and our student athletes back on campus as well. But how would you sum up the last 7 weeks since March 12th? Your connection with your team, your connection with your coaching staff, and others?
Well, I think like everybody, we've gone 100% virtual. And so we actually, like scheduling wise, we have weekly phone calls and weekly virtual meetings with our team. We also are doing, we have been doing virtual workouts kind of as per NCAA rules. But really there's just kind of this refocus on more in-depth conversations. Usually we're like quick texting and this is what's going on and here's the information. But now this new virtual kind of connection is we've had these interesting, long, in-depth conversations that we do in person, but there's just been more opportunity to do it now, even in the virtual world. So it's been kind of a cool sidebar that I didn't think was going to happen with either our team or our coaching staff. So that's been kind of cool to see.
And in your sport's a little bit unique in that this time of year typically is heavy recruiting, right? And not only were we going to host some JO volleyball on campus, but you would have been typically on the road too. How virtual recruiting? We're in a dead period from the NCAA, all divisions anyway through May, so that means no face-to-face recruiting. But for certain sports like yours, this was a heavy recruiting period. That's hard for the kids and for the coaches.
Yeah, it's you kind of take it one day at a time. Everyone does what we can to kind of mitigate the issues that we can't actually be physically watching players play. And I am a person that likes to see a couple of videos that players send us, that recruits send us, and then we go watch them physically. I need to be able to see them tangibly. So that's proven to be a little difficult. But on the flip side, everyone's in the same boat. And I think that recruits are sending, I would say that we've had double the amount of videos that we've gotten from recruits. And understandably so.
Yeah.
And we keep on saying like, yep, when we get back on the road, we'll be able to see you. And we will. It's definitely narrowed our focus a little bit too. Now we're not getting as many blanket recruit emails. We're getting specific emails from a select few of really, really, really talented players. And so we'll be able to kind of focus a little bit more, hopefully next spring when we get back into the normal club tournament scene. There's also some opportunities as far as recruiting virtually and watching live, pending NCAA regulations and pending the club tournaments that might get back up started here, if any happen.
Yeah.
So there's a possibility there as well. So yeah, you just have to adjust, and we have been. So yeah.
And this time of year, April was also a chance to teach and to learn and to practice. You had a young team, so you miss out on that as well. A young but very talented team, 20 wins last year, a great bounce back year with a great group of freshmen combined with your upperclassmen too. Going into next year, we play in the toughest league in Division II, but what are your expectations going into the fall?
So with losing our spring kind of training season, and with a young team, as you mentioned, we were really looking forward to being on the court, because spring is where we really each player gets better at their each individual position. And then we compete to just work on the team aspect of competing and not having that pressure of having to win. So that's been interesting going into the fall now. I think the biggest overall thing that we're most concerned about is just we're having our players they need to stay in shape as best they possibly can. It was actually fun to see the last 2 weeks we had kind of test runs. What we do as a test coming into fall is we run a shuttle run. And we had them do that virtually just to kind of see where they're at as we're entering finals week and entering in their summer training, which we normally would do anyway. We do a kind of a post spring season test. And I just asked them yesterday, every single player rated themselves as they kind of surprised themselves. They thought they would be worse off than what they are. So for me as a coach, like, that's good news going into the summer. I keep stressing to them that they are in control of how our fall looks and to do what they can now to be as best in position to succeed for us in the fall. So I think everybody from all ends is doing that. Their job is to stay in shape and stay strong and do what they can at home. Our job as coaches is to make sure that we are maintaining our recruiting pipeline and getting good recruits in, and that communication's there. And so whenever we know what's going to happen for the fall, we're at the best possible position to succeed. So still excited for fall, pumped. Yeah. I can't wait to get them back. Yep. They can't wait to be back. Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, and I read something this week that the words "I don't know" are okay right now, because we all want to know what does fall look like, and I don't know. None of us know, but health and safety of both our students, student athletes, and then the fans is going to guide every decision. And so, for us, I know President Herseth Sandlin came out last week and said we do plan to be in person in the fall, and we're doing everything we can to make sure it happens. And that's why I'm excited as our scenario planning task force for our university has gotten going. We've asked our coaches for different scenarios, if this, then how this will impact your program. But everything as I've told the teams that I've been on Zoom calls with, our whole focus is I'm optimistic. I'm saying I can't wait for volleyball, soccer, football, and cross country to be on campus. And let's go. If we have to change, we've got scenario planning. We'll deal with it, but I have no choice but to be optimistic right now. And we're going through, nationally, there'll be some legislation probably that looks at ways we can save costs across the country at all divisions. So it's just an interesting time, and the words "I don't know" are okay, but none of us like it because we want to know, because the nature of athletics, right? You want to be in control of everything. You want to know your routine, so it's hard.
Totally. And I feel like we tell the team that all the time. I'm constantly feel like I'm saying, like, I'm sorry I don't have more answers for you. I'm sorry I don't have more answers for you. But again, on the flip side, like, whatever comes, like, let's be prepared. Let's be as prepared as best we can to do what we need to do when we get to that point. So I told them the other day, I said, I don't care if we have 5 games or 50 games this fall. Our goal is to win all of them. Like, that is our goal. So let's get to that point where we can feel comfortable getting into the fall and doing that. And they're just super excited. I mean, they miss their friends. They want to be on campus. They miss, they love their parents. They love home. But I know that they also miss being on campus and with their friends and practicing. So
yes, and as a parent of 3 teenagers, I love my kids. I would like them to be at school sometime.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Let's talk about that too, because you're also a new mom. I know celebrated a 1-year birthday this week. So going through this first time experience, but also going through all the experiences of being a parent for the first time too.
Yeah, she's awesome. She just went through her first birthday was yesterday. So this Sunday we'll be doing a virtual family kind of smash cake thing on our balcony. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll just do it virtually. Yeah,
and it's a picture you'll look back on every year. So it's part of the deal when you turn that age. Exactly. We are also in the middle of Viking Bowl, the journey to 2030, and recognizing that in athletics, the goal of being Division I gets a lot of attention. But I've enjoyed talking to others, and especially of our coaches and staff. There are so many other parts of this strategic plan of where we want to be in 2030. Outside of the athletics piece, what gets you excited?
So the Viking Bowl campaign, I was thinking about this the other day, actually, randomly. A recruit asked me about it, and every time we talk to recruits, we talk about it. I am just pumped for the new academic structure and academic programs that Augustana is looking to do and have already kind of made some progress in. It's really exciting to see the reorganization of establishing a College of Music, College of Education. We've already been doing so many amazing things on campus, and it's fun to tell recruits about where our majors and programs are going and where our academic side is going. We're fortunate in volleyball. We tend to get very high academic and very focused academically student-minded or academically minded students, and also really, really good volleyball players. And so when I tell them about what's happening on the academic side, it just excites them even more about Augustana. And I really believe that, I'm excited. I'll say this is also another thing that I'm excited about, that it's a comprehensive plan. I mean, the Viking Bowl plan covers all aspects of our campus, and it's a it is bold. It is a look at where does Augustana need to be for the next centuries to come. And I think that this plan really does set us up for that, for success. And so I just am excited to see kind of the groundwork and being on the beginning to kind of see it launch. So.
Yep, I agree. MBA starting, right away here in the fall. That's really exciting. I know for a lot of our coaches, we're excited about a Master of Business, but also School of Music, School of Education, other things coming down the line. It's exciting, especially within an athletic department that is still very academically focused. You are also, the diversity, equity, inclusion, also a big part, a centerpiece of this plan overall. You are IDI certified, Intercultural Development Inventory. Your role with that, explain that.
So right now I sit on the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, which is a full-on school committee with representatives from each kind of area of campus. And we're really looking at, again, every single aspect of campus. How do we increase a diverse student body? How do we draw from where our populations are growing, in and around this regional area? How do we attract more students from diverse populations? How do we serve our current diverse student body on campus? It really is looking at a new way of life, which really is what our country, our world is going and becoming. And then it's about preparing our students, our current students, to enter that world in the workforce. And so it's fun to be on that. We do a lot of different things on that committee, as far as kind of increasing and raising the level around inclusion on campus. As far as IDI training as well, that's rolling out. That is a specific training around how do I, as an individual, become more inclusive in my day-to-day work or day-to-day life, in the idea that if everyone has some sort of goal in that realm, it will be better for the collective. So that is kind of what the IDI does, essentially.
Yeah, and boy, now we're a year in maybe to Willette Capers, our first director of diversity, equity, inclusion, who joined our campus. Our plan, our diversity, equity, inclusion plan, was rolled out in January of 19. So we're a year and a half almost into that too. So it's all part of really where we want to be. So it is exciting. I was listening to one of my favorite authors on a podcast, and he said, and this was probably weeks ago, so we still had plenty of time left in our quarantine, whatever that looks like. But what when you look back at the pandemic of 2020, what do you want to remember it by, right? So I started, for me, it's like, well, I walk my dog a lot. She's really happy. For us, it's been family dinners because our kids aren't in activities all the time. My wife works from home and her job is pretty demanding. So family dinners for us aren't always in the cards, but it's been really nice because they have been for this. So I'm just curious for you, when you look back at this time, what will be one of a few of the things that you remember?
Very similar. I think of, actually, what this has gotten me to think about is that I think the U.S. is one of the most overworked societies. By numbers. I don't know what exactly our stats are, but I feel like I always hear those numbers that the U.S. has the least amount of vacation hours, and in general, the working force does. And so if anything, for me, it's been kind of that reset. We as coaches, I think myself included, you just get caught up into the job, and you go, and you never really take a breather unless you have like an off time. So for us, it's December and May. Those are our times where we just are off, instead of balancing it out throughout the year. And so I think that's what I'll probably look back on. We're enjoying more time with our families. And I'm one of those people that if I have 65 emails, I have to get them answered today. And is there a better way to manage that time, So I think that's probably the same for me. It's looking back on taking care of the important things.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I've thought a lot about this because to me, it's about efficiency, right? And I think what this has done as the leader of our department is I'm trying to look and say, okay, what does this mean going forward? Some days I can be a lot more productive here in my basement, and I can get a lot done in 2 hours and then go into work. Or how can we modify what we think of as typical work schedules? Coaches your world is different, but for us in administration, where it's more a typical days, I really am anxious to see how can we how can we maximize our efficiency and the idea of the workplace? What does it look like going forward? So I agree with you. I think that's great. And as I tell people often, I grew up the son of a coach, and so I have so much respect, and I understand the time demands and the sacrifices that our coaches make. And so I'm glad as we've gone with our video calls too, to hear a lot of comments just like yours, that it's just kind of, all right, let's take a step back and spend some more time with family. So that's great to hear. I do want to share too, I appreciate, Coach, you always keep me
Nice.
suited up. So my Nike Dry Fit long sleeve volleyball. Who would have thought I needed a long sleeve in May? But
I know.
oh well.
I know. I wish it was a little warmer out today as well.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Coach Jacobs, thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to watching your team compete. I'm going to expect it in August, and we'll work to make it happen.
I agree. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. See you.